One.
Howdy, people. Welcome to one more session of Office Hours. Awesome. We have close to 90 people as of now.
Great.
Here you go. Let me admit a few inside. Yeah, new week, new session. How are you all doing? Hello, Marco. How are you, sir? Love it. Love it. Absolutely. So the session is being recorded. We'll push it out on our Slack community and on our YouTube channel as well. So yes, the recording will be there. It's out on Monday. Perfect. You guys know the drill. If you're new, drop it on the chat where you're from, what's the temperature there. We'd love to know. And one more question that Swapnil wants to know every time is basically, what are you guys? Are you an agency? Are you a freelancer? Are you a SaaS sales company? Drop it on the chat. SaaS agency, Colombia, love it. Sweden, 0 degrees. I'm comfortably in a 32 degrees Celsius in India. It's warm, so can't complain.
I'm in the rain and a storm right now.
Oh God. Marketing agency, Los Angeles. Neeraj from India as well. Love it. Absolutely. Mark, we do have a Slack group. We'll share the link on the chat. We have the link for the Slack community. We'd love to be a part of it. South Africa, copywriter, awesome. India. Yeah, most of us are on the sweet spot. We're from 22 to 30. Shouldn't be a problem. Perfect. But without further ado, let's kickstart. Firstly, Shira, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're sick, but thank you for making it today. And welcome to our office hour session. And for those of y'all who do not know Shira, Shira is the CEO and founder of SSC Digital. They've been active for more than a decade. She comes with a ton of experience, and she's also the CEO and founder of SmartReach. Right, Shira, although this is a two-line brief I give about you, all of us would love to hear from you. If you can give a quick round of introduction, please.
For sure. So nice to meet you all. And as Akash mentioned, I'm a little bit under the weather. So if I cough, I will mute me so you guys do not have to suffer through what I'm suffering through. So my name is Shira. I am the CEO and founder of SSC Digital. It dates me to say that I've been running a lead generation company for 14 years. This month is our 14th year anniversary.
Wow.
And yes, so crazy. But as many of you know, in this outbound space, I would say the last year or two have been really challenging, where we used to just be booking calls left, right, and center through cold email, through LinkedIn. Things really got much more challenging. Our reply rates, significantly took a dip. We were using, basic databases like Apollo, ZoomInfo, etc., and they worked great for many, many years. And then all of a sudden, the industry really, took a turn. And so what I decided to do was invest in our own technology to combat this and integrate with companies like the amazing Smartlead and enabling us to really leverage AI, but also all these amazing tools to help us increase our booking rates, which is what SmartReachAI is. And I'll explain a little bit about that. So we have an agency and we have a SaaS technology as well.
Absolutely. And Shira, if you want to make the quick round of introduction about the form that you'd want to share with people, please do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are actually launching our wait list for Smart Data. Today, I'm going to talk a lot about a lot of different intent signals, and I'll quickly just share my screen for a moment, if that's okay, and then we'll drop the link here. So basically, what Smart Data is part of the SmartReachAI platform, but every single signal that I'm going to talk about Hundreds of different tools are integrated into this technology where you literally just need to click. So if you want to find companies that have funding, any companies that are hiring, lookalikes through Ocean, Trigify comments and engagements, I'll go through all of these in detail, but all of this is available for you on Smart Data without having to sign up for multiple subscriptions, pay thousands of dollars. It starts at only $59. It's token based. It's launching in a few weeks, and I'm happy to give everyone here free tokens, and we'll drop the link where you guys can sign up for the wait list.
Yeah, I see a couple of heads shaking. We love that. We love that. So thank you so much for that, Shira. And for all those who fill this form, you get some free tokens. You heard it from Shira. And you guys know how the session goes. I have a few questions from my end, which most of you all will be benefited through. And at the end of the session, we also have the floor open for questions. So if you have any questions, you can be on the spotlight, ask your questions directly to Shira, and also fill up the chat. I will pick up questions from there as well. Yeah. So
I just have to say, somebody wrote, so it's clay for dummies, and you nailed it. It's clay for dummies. I love that. Thank you for saying that.
awesome. Without further ado, Shira, let's kickstart. And we're here for data. And my first question is going to be a most basic one. Most of us will be benefited through this. And the question is, what are intent signals, right? What are intent signals, and why are intent signals critical for B2B outbound?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of buzz right now about what are intent signals. I don't know if you guys are following right now on LinkedIn. Everyone's talking about intent signals. And actually, when I was putting together the technology and the webinar, I was thinking, like, how do you really explain intent signals? And the way that I decided to explain it is actually to break it into two main questions that you want to ask when you're doing any type of cold outreach, which is number one, is this the right persona? Okay, is this the right company? That's number one. So you can use many different signals to signify if it actually is the right company for you. And I'll go through some deeper examples in a moment of that. And the second question is, and this is one that I find to be so critical because in running so many lead gen campaigns, I mean, we've sent over 20 million emails to date. We know the drill, right? And while we might have prospects that are meeting our ICP, our ideal customer profile, right? So we know that, okay, if they have this number of employees and this is their title and they're in this industry, they meet our criteria of an ideal customer. But the main question that we kind of forgot about, and I would say in the last year, we're starting to ask more and more is, well, are they in the market for our product or service? And how do I know if they're in the market? So I would say intent signals solve those two questions. One, is this the right persona? Are they the right company? And there's many signals that we can use for that. And two is, are they in the market? Are they actually looking for our product or service? So what I'd love to do, Akash, if it's okay, is just share some examples and go a little bit deeper into some of those signals and what they look like.
We'd love to know more about that, right? Types of signals, because as you said, a couple of years back, it was simply a case where we identified the ICP, if they're actually a potential customer, if they can be a potential prospect. But the second question makes a lot of sense. It fulfills the whole process. We'd love to know more. Please go for it, Shira.
Sure, absolutely. So I'll just start with the first question because it took me a while to realize that these are actually signals as well, okay? And there's so many different tools out there. And as we have more and more clients that are coming to us asking, you know what, we're finding that our ideal customer, the one that we know when we get on the phone, we can close, they need to have at least 3 store locations. So how are you guys going to do that for us? Okay, so that's just one example is we know that we can close them if X. Okay, so what are these X's? And they could range per client, right? One is, do they have enough store locations? We have another client that says, listen, we only want to target local cannabis shops. Okay, so you cannot go to Apollo and find a list of shops. Okay, you need to go to Google Maps and find that. And then once you find Google Maps, well, then how do you enrich it with their email address? That's a whole other discussion that we'll talk about. Okay, Another client came to us and said, listen, we're targeting content experts, and they need to have a YouTube channel. So I need you guys to go find only companies that have a YouTube channel. Again, this is not something that you can go to basic databases and just find, okay? You need some type of tools that will let you know, okay, these guys have a YouTube channel. Another big one that's come up a lot, and we're seeing it in a lot of different use cases, is, are they spending money on ads? Because if they're spending money on ads, that means that they have budget, or that means that we can help them with A, B, and C. And again, this is not something you could see with the basic databases right now, right? So these are all just different examples. Another one, a client now, we have one client that has told us they only want companies that have at least 200,000 social media followers, because otherwise their technology won't work. So we have to then go and identify companies that only have this number of social media followers. So these are just examples of different signals that identify before we even message them and enrich them and, find the right person at the company. Are these the right companies? Can we actually sell to them? Okay, so that's the first question. And these are all different tools that at SmartReach we've integrated with each and every one. Again, very much like Clay, but without having to build the Airtable, without having to spend a ton of time learning how to use it. Very easy, quick, cheap, So we've built it all in one way. So this is the right persona. So I'll stop here and see if there's any specific questions on this, and then I can go to the next topic.
There's nothing on the chat as of now. Right now, it's about Smartlead issues. Team, reach out to the support team. We'll get back to you. We have some announcements being pushed out on the UI and on the Slack as well. So being respectful, this is not the right place for this.
Thank you. Okay, guys, but the next thing that I'm really excited to talk about is the next topic, which is, are they in the market? Okay. Now, your conversion rates are going to skyrocket when you can find people that meet your criteria, are the right persona, as I just shared with you earlier. But in addition to that, they also are actively searching for your product or service. So how do you identify that? That's like, the golden egg everybody's searching for. So we have identified, and we've spent a year testing all of the top tools out there, okay? And we've identified some of the best tools to really find this. And I'll show some examples and playbooks as well that you can use afterwards, but just to go through and touch on a few of these. So the first is social media monitoring. So who here is familiar with Trigify? By a show of thumbs up or hands. Okay, great.
Around is it? Around is.
Okay, I see just a few. But let me introduce you guys to Trigify. Trigify is an incredible tool that allows you to, first of all, find people that are buzzing about a specific keyword on LinkedIn, okay? So let's say, for example, I want to find anyone talking about cold emails. I can go to Trigify, type in cold email, and it'll show me every post recently about that has the topic cold email in it. In addition, it'll show me all of the engagements with that topic. And for me, those are kind of two separate campaigns, to be honest, because one is showing, okay, they're actively talking about it. So they're an expert in the space, typically, okay? And B is, well, who's actually engaging with that post? And if you click on that, on the comments on your LinkedIn post, okay, you'll start seeing everybody who gave it a thumbs up, who gave it a heart, right? Who gave it a light bulb, and who actually commented. And you'll be able to start seeing, actually, this is my target audience, because they're engaging with this post, which means they're showing some intent. So I highly recommend taking a look at Trigify. Again, you could access all of this through Smart Data. The second is, has their sales department grown? I just gave it by 20%, okay? And it could be any department, but I'll use lead gen as the example here for this playbook, okay? One example that you can know that, okay, they might need my help, right? How do I know? Where's there any indication? Where's there a signal that these guys actually may be looking for me? Okay. I don't know who's coloring on the presentation, but it's absolutely fine. Whoever's having fun with it. So one indication is on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can actually go and see a department head growth. So I could see, has a sales department grown more than 20% in the last year? If so, that's an indication they're going to need to fill their pipeline with leads, right? So they're going to need my help. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe their department head actually went down and they scaled down. And they actually may need to outsource more now because they don't have the team they used to have. So both of these are great indications. We also actually have this in Smart Data. You don't need to go into LinkedIn Sales Navigator to see this. Another great one that we love is, are they actively hiring? Okay.
Right.
When they're actively hiring, it's a really good indication. So we have a client that's an outsourced developer. Okay. They offer IT development software services. And our best signal for them is by far, are they hiring a developer? Now, in addition, you could do some fun additions to that by also doing a sales navigator search for that they have remote teams, okay? Because that also could mean that they're likely to outsource to a remote person. But when we use Indeed and LinkedIn Jobs to find people that are hiring, it's a really good signal as well that indicates that they're in the market, okay? And you need to come in and say, listen, instead of hiring, why don't you outsource to us? Or we do have somebody that you can hire, okay? There's lots of different solutions here. One of my favorite signals by far that is very underrated and not a lot of people know about, and this is not in Clay, is called Boomerang, okay? And this allows you to actually find people that are following your competitors, okay? So what does this mean? If you go onto LinkedIn, and let's say I go to Science, who is another lead gen company, a competitor of ours in the US, and I see that Science has 20,000 followers. Those followers are very likely, a certain percentage of them are very likely my customers, okay? Maybe they're not happy with Science anymore. Maybe they used them 2 years ago and they didn't have such great results, or they finished with them and they're looking for another one now. So this one I could not stress enough is finding your competitors' followers, okay? So whoever you're targeting, think about who your competitors are, and it's great work. Now, in addition to that, it's not just the company followers, but you can actually go to the CEO and you can look at who's following that CEO, and you could scrape those followers too. Now, I'll say just the caveat here that Boomerang is the only integration that we have that's not immediate because it takes time. There are actually people doing this. So it takes a little bit of time to get those results. But then once you plug it into Smart Data, it automatically enriches them and also automatically filters them out so they only meet your ICP. So let's say a competitor, you want to remove everyone that's working at Science. You don't want to target them. They're for sure following their own company. So you want to remove them, right? You want to remove anyone that is not meeting your ICP. Let's say they only have one employee. That's not your ICP. So Smart Data enables you to click, and only finds followers that meet your criteria. Another one is that they could be attending an industry event. So a big one that we focused on for a few of our clients was Shop Talk. So we have a few e-commerce clients that were going to Shop Talk. So it's very hard to get the attendee list of these events, right? It's very difficult. But one strategy is to go to that event page and follow everyone or scrape everyone that's following that page. And the likelihood that you can start a conversation with them because they have followed, which means that they're interested in those industry event updates, right? And so even if they're not going to the event, we find that that's a great trigger to start the conversation saying, hey, oh, you're not going to the event? Okay, no problem. I'd love to talk to you on a conference call, right? So those are just some examples. And then there are ones that you guys know, like, are they looking to spend money because they just closed funding? That's a great one. And one of my favorites, I'm sure many of you are familiar with, are called lookalikes. We
Right.
use a few companies. We really love Ocean that we've integrated with as well. Okay. And lookalikes are really cool. So lookalikes are, okay, we have 6 different clients in the e-commerce space. I want to find other companies that look just like them. What does that mean? They may have the same type of technology that they're offering in e-commerce. They're solving the same problem. They have around the same number of employees. They're in the same location. And by contacting them with the right message of saying, listen, we work with Chemonics and Rise AI, and I think you guys are very similar to them, and they're familiar with these companies because they're in this space. And when they hear that you have experience working with companies that are similar to them, the likelihood of you getting them on a call is much higher.
Much higher. And Shira, picking one from the chat as well. So
Sure.
maybe a step back. Frederico has asked, what about all the people who follow a competitor but are not in the ICP, which is investors, friends, students, and general interested people?
That's a really good question. Okay, so I'll just quickly answer that by showing how I do it on Smart Data. And we actually, oops, I'm stuck in the, and we actually did this and built it in this way exactly for that reason, because we are spending time and money and resources scraping and enriching only to find that they're really not our target audience. So the way that we've designed it to make it so simple here is you literally first select your ICP. Okay, so let's say you only want people in the US. This is a very small ICP, just as an example. Okay, and you only want in business services, and you only want CEOs. And here I enriched it with website visits. Okay, and so let's say this is my ICP. Okay, it only will show me the people that meet my ICP when I click on that signal. Okay, it automatically does that for you. So you don't need to worry about, first of all, sending the message to people that really are not your criteria. And you can have multiple signals as well. So as you start doing multiple signals, let's say you could say, I only want people that have a certain number of website visits, that have closed funding and look like this company. Okay, you might have a very small group, but it's going to be very targeted.
Got it. Federico, I hope that answered your question. Shira, please.
Okay, great. Let me go back to my slideshow. Okay, so these are just some examples of, are they in the market? And there's many more, guys, and you can explore Smart Data and play around with it, and we're adding new signals every day. And then the next piece is, do you have the right message? Okay, so the first question is this the right persona, right? Are they the right company? Is it the right person? Second question is, are they in the market? Have they shown any signals that they're actually looking for my product or services? But then the third is, okay, how do I send them a message that's really going to catch their attention and really resonate? Okay. And this is where hyper-personalization comes in, first of all. Married to, I like to say that the hyper-personalization, dated the intent signal, and then when you run it through Smart Mail, they got married. Okay. Because basically what you're doing is you're showing, okay, I see that you guys are, you've grown by 20%. Okay. I also see that you scheduled over 3,500 LP meetings. I'd love to explore, here's a little bit about us and how we could solve a specific pain you have. I'd love to explore, discussing a very, very quick, very, very hyper-personalized email. And just to quickly escape from here for a moment, I'll just show you that this is where we have integrated with Smartlead. Okay, so you can actually plug in all of your leads that you've built on Smart Data. Okay, we're integrated right here. You can upload it straight to Smartlead. It automatically hyper-personalizes every single message for you. And this is under our Smart Mail platform. So I'll just give you an example. Here's one. Hi, Kfir, I admire your storytelling passion. It's rare to find a CEO, so it looks like you have basically researched each and every person and crafted a message that's specific for them, okay? This one saying your dedication to analyzing market data, stroking their ego, look like you really, really research them. Okay, each one is different and unique, and you're able to run this through SmartMail. And another really cool feature that we literally just launched today, so I'm very excited about it, is that if you wanted to give feedback on all of the mails, let's say you want to have more control, to say make it shorter, personalize it even more. Don't say these words, whatever it is, you guys can plug it in here and it will rewrite the messaging for you with your prompts. Okay. So with Smart Mail, you really can hyper personalize every single email at scale very, very quickly. So you could see we did 308. Okay. Each one is unique. This also really helps, by the way, with email deliverability, because when you're not sending the bulk emails over and over. So this is the right person, okay, the right company. They're in the market, and you have the right message to them. By personalizing it and making sure that it's really speaking to the research that you've done on each and every person, okay? And so that's really the combination. I'll be honest with you, that is the recipe for success with cold outreach right now, those three things. So I'll go back now to see if anyone has any questions, and happy to go back into giving some examples on playbooks that we've created.
I'm finding a few from the chat. I'm seeing if there's any questions.
Okay.
Most of it is about how you need to have your copy, etc. But one for me, Shira, you did show us a couple of channels, but I know there are multiple different use cases for each of them. But out of your
Yes.
experience, do you feel there is a channel that's underrated that people don't look for, that they need to start looking for? If yes, we'd all love
Yes.
to know.
First of all, I definitely think company followers and people followers are probably one of the best ones that is underrated.
Right.
And okay, so definitely I would say don't just look for the companies. Another little secret tip that I'll give you that we're doing, which takes a little bit of work, but I think is genius, is going to your competitors and looking at their account executives and seeing who they're engaging with, who started following them. And
Wow.
if you start scraping that list every week, you'll start seeing who they're talking to every week. And that's a amazing, amazing signal. That you
Wow.
could, yeah. So I'll just share that with everyone here. And I did not tell you that, but yes, it's a great signal.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Shira.
Okay, my pleasure. So I'm going to just go through now just some playbooks, guys, of how you can use a combination of different signals based on who you are as a company and who you're targeting, okay? So the first one is for all the agencies out there, okay? The lead gen agencies that are out there. So I'm going to, make this a little bit interactive, guys, and just ask you here, which signals here would tell you that they are in the market? Remember, we said there's three questions. Are they the right persona? Are they in the market? And do you have the right messaging? So what signal here can indicate that they're potentially in the market for a lead gen agency to help them grow?
Hiring.
Yep, exactly. And who would they be hiring?
Deepak says hiring sales, and
hiring.
would they be
Exactly. Hiring sales, hiring SDRs, hiring AEs. Okay. Any of these hires. And again, this is where you have to kind of peel back the layer of the onion to say, okay, what is going to really indicate for me that they need me, right? If they are actively seeking talent to help them, what is an SDR doing? An SDR is getting them leads. So if they're actively seeking an SDR to help them get leads, they're going to need me, okay? Again, another one is their department headcount growth. Now, the combination of this is genius, okay? So when you can find
Right.
people that are hiring and they've grown their team in a short time period, they need you if you're a lead gen agency, because they need to fill their pipeline. Okay. Or if they've actually not grown, the opposite. Okay. They're looking to hire and they haven't hired in a while. They probably
Right.
need your help as well, but it's a different message that you would send them if those were the indicators. Okay. And then another indicator that I really like is that they have budget, because one of the worst things that most lead gen agencies know is like, we want it for free and you should pay us to get you, to get us the leads. So knowing that they have budget is also a great. So the combination of these three, when you have the right messaging to them and get them on a call, the likelihood that you will close is much higher. Okay. And here's an SEO playbook. Okay. So let's say you are an SEO company and you're offering SEO services. So again, how do you know that they're the right persona? Well, if they have a specific number of website visits, and you could use similar web, for this, okay?
Right.
And they're running ads, okay? But they actually have low traffic. And you guys can define in each industry, what does low traffic mean? This is where, again, it gets a little bit more complex in how to use the signals, but this is amazing for SEO companies, because if you know they're running ads, but you also know that they're not really converting well because their traffic is low, typically that means they need SEO help. And that's a really great way to find them. And then add that to the fact that they are actively in the market. How do you know this? Because they're following one of your competitors. So this is a signal that they actually are interested in SEO. They just don't know how to do it yet. They haven't landed on the right company yet, or maybe they're in discussions with another company, and that's a great indicator that they're in the market.
Understood.
Okay. This is one for if you're targeting e-commerce companies. I don't know about you guys, but we have a lot of companies in the e-commerce space. And
we just got one, Shira. We just got from
really?
He suggested a playbook for e-commerce development services.
Okay, amazing. So the worst thing is when you start getting emails back saying, I'm not e-commerce. I don't use Shopify. And you've spent all this time building this list. Like we used to build these lists on Apollo, and we would use the technology filter of Shopify. And yet, even with that, we would get so many saying, we're not Shopify. We don't have an e-commerce store. And that was the worst, because we wasted all this time and money on finding leads, enriching leads, writing messaging, sending them the lead, sending them the message, and they weren't the right people. So using tools like StoreLeads, okay, which will tell you that they're e-commerce, or even being smart and using a tool like BuiltWith, which gives you different technology. And you could think about, okay, so if they're e-commerce, they have to be accepting payments. So maybe they're using Stripe as an example, right? Or with our smart agents, which I'll show you in a moment, you could search and say, only show me B2C companies, and so it'll filter out all of those for you. So the first step is identifying that they're the right persona. And for this specific case study, I can't share as much how important it is to use these tools to really know that they are e-commerce, because any other databases are not accurate and you end up wasting 70% of your leads. And then a second signal could be that they are also running Google ads and Facebook ads, okay? And again, they have low traffic. So again, they might need your help, okay? And they also could be going to a specific e-commerce event on how to increase their revenue, okay? Or how to increase their sales. And so therefore, your technology as an e-commerce company that can help them grow would be perfect fit for them. Okay, so these are just combinations of signals. And again, you're going to get a smaller group, but you're going to get such a highly targeted group. And with the right message, the chances of converting them, we are booking right now for some of our clients 12, 15, 20 calls a week with these strategies. Yeah. Okay. Another example, I think this is my last one for my playbook, and then I'm happy to take, any questions and open it up to everyone and have discussions, is content creators. So we have some clients that are targeting companies that, are creators of content. Either they are video companies, right? And so one great signal that you can use to really know, are they in the market is monitoring the social media buzz. And this is using Trigify, as I shared with you earlier. Okay. So identifying companies that are really creating a lot of online conversation and buzz around video and creating a lot of content. Okay. And then you could use the YouTube channel as well filter to find companies that actually have a strong YouTube presence. And this is where you can also bring in Ocean. And I love this one. I really feel like this one works so well, is finding companies that are similar, especially in specific industries where it's like that FOMO of like, oh, wait, this YouTube channel is using that technology and I'm not. Oh, I need to use it. Right. So creating that FOMO of like, hey, you know that this channel is using us and we've been able to do X, Y, and Z for them. You guys, I'd love to talk to you about how we could do it for you too. This is a great combination of finding people that really are going to jump at the chance to speak to you. If you have a really great offer for them that can enhance their, YouTube channel or enhance their video business. So these are just some examples and playbooks. And over time, we're going to be creating a lot more playbooks. If anyone is interested here in playing around with smart data and creating your own playbook, I'm really happy to, collaborate with you on that. And yeah, really happy to take any questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this, Shira. I didn't have to, shoot my questions. I segmented because this was already on. And the link is there. Fill up the form, get your free tokens, play around the platform. Shira and the team would love that. And right now, if you guys have any questions, you have the React option. Click on that, raise your hand, and I'll spotlight you. You can shoot your questions to Shira. Moise, like how fast you are, mate. Here you go, sir. Go for your question. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. Hey, Shira, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing better than always. Yeah, so I've got a really quick question. As someone who's actually deep in the cold email game, I know segmentation is everything, but intent-based campaigns, they throw a whole new curveball, right? So when intent signals basically fluctuate across companies of vastly different sizes, employee counts, or even inconsistent lead flow and lead list, so how exactly do you strategically segment to maintain hyper personalization without sacrificing scalability, deliverability, and efficiency? I would love to hear your thoughts about that.
That's a great question. And I think probably the biggest pain and challenge is scalability with what you just said, because the more, as I mentioned, you filter down, the kind of less scale you have, right? So I think for us, what we found is that it's finding multiple different groups. Instead of now saying, okay, let's only send an email to CEOs in this industry, with this revenue. It's about peeling back the layers within those CEOs now and saying, okay, let's find lookalikes specifically for this example and this type of company, right? And let's run a message specifically just for them. Okay, now let's find other companies that have just closed funding and hired, and this message is just for them. Okay, so it's about, first of all, a lot of testing and learning. That's number one. And also, that's exactly why I built Smart Data. I designed it the way that I did, is because sometimes you start building all these signals and you have 5 people left to target, and you're like, shit, this is not going to work, right? So what you could do then is expand it very quickly and play around with it and say, okay, you know what? Let me remove this signal, or let me remove this specific part of the ICP where I'm saying, okay, it only has to be this industry. I can open that up a little bit. And if I open that up and I just click X, I'm going to now have 500. So it's really about playing around with that. Yeah.
Got it. Amazing. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Moise. Next up, we have Joseph. Hello, sir. Go for it. Unmute yourself.
Hello, thank you very much. Sure, that was great. I especially love the idea of the following the competitors' A's idea. That will be definitely used. Um, as part of the question, I'd like to understand how best to scrape that in and out of LinkedIn, but we can talk about that later. But
Yeah.
so we're B2B SaaS, primarily focused on medium-sized enterprises and trying to find out who inside the organization is creating the intent and how best to find that. Any thoughts around that would be wildly helpful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's also just about this is where you can get a little creative as well with your testing and learning, right? I always like to go back to the drawing board first and look at my last 10 closes. Okay, who did I just close? Who was the decision maker that just made that decision? And in enterprise, it might be multiple decision makers that you have to go
Right.
through, right? But let's just say who was the one that actually champions it for you and got the deal through. Okay. So it's first looking at that data. I always like to do that because you could test and learn, but let's first look and see what actually is working for you now, what you've actually closed, and then look at those personas. Okay. So let's say it's usually in an enterprise, not the CEO level, but let's say it's the director of technology level. Okay. So then it's about peeling back the onion and looking at, well, what would be a good indicator for us for a director of technology that they're in the market? It could be that they're hiring engineers. I don't know what your technology is, right? And I'm happy to have another call with you just to talk to you and help you with it.
Yeah.
But it's really about peeling back the layer for that specific persona now. And what could be the indicator? Is it hiring? Is it that they're engaging on social media? Is it that there's another company that they're following, right? Is it that they're actually following your competitor? So you have to kind of identify with that persona what is the right intent signal. And again, it's about testing and learning. It's not done 100% right away. But if you go back to the drawing board and look at who you recently closed with and then segment and break up the personas from there, that's a great way to start.
Okay. Very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Pleasure.
Federico, if you can turn on your video, I'll spotlight you. There you go.
All right. Thanks for unmuting me. Yeah, Shira, the tool looks awesome. One question I had is if you want to target your competitors or the CEO of your competitor specifically and look at their followers, how would you go about excluding all of the people that will certainly follow them that are not at all relevant to you, such as their family and friends, other investors, people that are just like not at all relevant to you?
Yeah, so I kind of addressed this earlier. I'm not sure if you heard that, but basically through smart data, you can use your regular filters. So let's say, for example, you only want to target people in the e-commerce industry with at least 100 employees. So you would build those filters first, and then you would scrape the competitors, and only people that meet that criteria would be in there. And I'll be honest with you, that is one of the reason I did it that way is because we were scraping so many, and just like you, we were finding their sister, we were finding, their investor, we were finding their cousin, and it just was not, and we were wasting, Smartlead costs and enrichment costs. So that's why we built it this way. So you can really just hone in on your exact persona that you're looking for, and then weed out everyone that doesn't meet that persona.
Got it. And is the scraping just, I'm familiar with Clay. Is the scraping similar
Mhm.
to that, where you're maybe using your own credits or connecting to your own OpenAI API key? Is that similar in your
So
platform?
we actually decided not to allow you to use your own API key. We have negotiated contracts with each of these providers at very low rates so that you just have to pay a certain number of tokens for each one. And you could decide which ones you want to use and not have to do all these subscriptions on your own. So it starts at $59, okay? And you get a lot of tokens for that. So instead of having to have all these multiple subscriptions and your own API keys, except for Smartlead, which by the way, you just enter in your Smartlead API key and you could start sending the messages straight through there. But all the others that I'm talking about on the data side, you would use through us, through our tokens. And you could buy as many, as little as, little as you want for each one and play around and test around.
Got it. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Dimitri, if you can turn on your video, I'll spotlight you. There you go.
There we go. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Yeah, first of all,
Yes.
real great presentation. I think the more we are split testing, the more we understand how preparing the campaign and the leads before the campaign is actually the majority of the work. Oops.
Yeah.
Then the
lost your
actual
face.
copy.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm interested. So the credits, is one credit equal to one lead enrichment? So is it 1-to-1?
Every tool is a little bit different, and it depends on the cost of the tool, but most tools are going to be around 1 token. Some will be 2 or 3. Very similar
Got it.
to the way how others have it. Obviously, it depends on the cost. And I will just share with you guys the scraping of the competitors. Okay. I mentioned it earlier, but I just want to clarify again. Unfortunately, there's no way on LinkedIn to do it through an API or through a quick, scrape. So it is something that takes a little bit more time. So if you want to do it, I would do it the day before and then come back and they'll be ready for you.
Got it. And one this is more about the copy. So right now we are split testing. I mean, we're about to split test 3 different approaches. One is the direct offer, which is, hey, a little bit of personalization, and then this is what our company does. The other approach is a lead magnet, meaning that we don't end off by saying what we do, but rather we give them some kind of a valuable whatever that might be. And then the third approach is more of a conversational, where we start off with a question to the CEO or the CMO, wherever we are targeting, that we might present as a customer, but then we slowly start drifting the conversation into, basically, because we run a lead gen agency as well, slowly getting into the conversation of maybe taking on the sales. From your experience, I mean, I don't know if you split tested those different kinds of methods as well, but what gets the biggest booking rate, but also from the lead quality, what gets the biggest close rate, aside from the branding and the website and the LinkedIn and the nurturing? Out of those 3 approaches, what do you see the most success with?
So it really depends, like you said, about the work that's done behind the scenes first on the list. But I would say our number 1 is the hyper-personalized emails that I showed you. It basically, our open rates are 60 to 70% on a good campaign. And like I said, we're booking quite significantly there. So when it looks like you've done, I think what's happening with the lead magnets, it depends on the lead magnet, right? Which, obviously there's so many companies saying, hey, do you want me to send you my playbook? And the assumption is that they have time to deal with that, right? But when you can use the short time that they have to hone in and show that you've done research on them and show that you've really spent time looking at who they are, what they need, and you can really talk to a pain that they have, we actually book more on our first step of hyper-personalized emails than on those lead magnets.
Got it. Yeah, I was talking to a client. He told me I get I'll get a lot of these kinds of emails of lead magnets, but I don't have the time to consume these and
Yeah.
got it. Makes sense.
I find lead magnets work a little better on LinkedIn, right? When you have a more engaged audience in a social platform, when somebody's getting an email or a LinkedIn message, they get inundated. So you have to really think about what's going to really stand out to them.
Got it. Okay. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you, Dimitri. And next up is Sean. But before I spotlight Sean, picking up one more from the chat, Shira, do we have a number on what's the accuracy of the data like when it comes to smart data?
Yeah, I mean, we are pulling the main data from some of the top providers. Rocket Reach and Prospeo are 2, and they both boast about between 96 to 98% accuracy. So yeah, we really spent a lot of time picking and choosing ones that have the best. And also what we'll do is we'll come back and let you know if it's valid, if it's invalid, or if it's a catch-all. And we're also integrating with another catch-all verifier as well. So if they are catch-all, if you guys are familiar with catch-alls, I'm sure you all are, some of them actually are decent, and we end up losing a big part of our list because of it. So smart data is going to be integrated for those catch-alls that you can verify them and use the ones that are verified as well.
Awesome. And a follow-up was how many months is that data updated?
Oh, well, again, we're
I think
pulling
it's
from the top.
off
Yeah, we're pulling from the top providers that are
real time.
updating daily, weekly. Yeah. And a lot of the scraping is done in
Got
real
it.
time. So, yeah.
Noted. Thank you, Shira. Sean's next. Sean, if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Akash, and thank you, Shira. So, yeah, very new to this space. Uh, I'm just getting off the ground and building the internal infrastructure. My challenge, thank you, Shira, for this, and Akash. I was recommended to Smartleads from an agency, so just starting to build this internally. My challenge is just scalability with my industry, with the biotech space. The I my target audience is a very generic title of like senior research scientist, but the scalability is that hyper personalization is tough to scale because we offer services on research projects, so they need to have a project going on. It's very specific to immunology and virology. And they're working on very specific things, and it has to have funding. So it's finding those signals and finding the buying intent can be very difficult. Scientists don't typically update their LinkedIn profiles. It's a very incestuous industry, so they might be at Merck and then Pfizer and then GlaxoSmithKline, but they may not update their LinkedIn for 3 jobs. So, so this is very interesting in theory for my industry, but this is the challenge I've been finding with trying to scale anything and automate anything for my space, for the life science, biotech, pharma space. What are your thoughts on that? I know it's a very kind of vague
Yeah.
question, but
No,
this
I
has been my
appreciate
challenge.
it. Yes, I totally understand that. And we actually have another client that is similar in the sense that they're only targeting professors that are doing research projects on retail specific topics. Okay. So
Okay.
we have to really find professors that have published something in the retail space. And LinkedIn was not the tool for that. Okay. So this is also why we built a layer called the Smart Agent. And what the Smart Agent does is it scrapes their website. So obviously there has to be some digital footprint that is showing you this information. Okay. Could
Yeah.
be that this person has published in the past. I know my husband's a physician. He's publishing all the time on different topics, right? So it's about
Yeah.
finding, and whenever he publishes, he doesn't put it on his LinkedIn. He doesn't even care about his LinkedIn, right? It's on the hospital's
Right.
website, right? It's published in whatever medical journals, right? So it's about, as long as there is that published, you can scrape that through different tools. And one of our tools called the Smart Agent. So you can plug into the Smart Agent and say, only show me companies or people that have recently published or have done this type of scientific research. It has to obviously have digital footprints for it to find it, but there are ways for you to find that if it's out there.
Is it possible we do have an industry specific database. It's called ZymeWire that is very
Okay.
specific to life sciences. So that is all public domain, but they've built it out so that it's very like I can put in search terms that it would sound like it's a dead language to us, but to my
Yes.
PhD scientists, they get it. And if
Right.
I type it in, it'll show me companies that are doing research in that area. So it's easy to find in that. I don't think they have open APIs, but I know that means it's public domain. So you're saying the agents could potentially do something like that.
Yeah, so a trick for you could be actually to upload that list. We have an upload feature. You can actually upload that list through a CSV, okay? And then you could ask the Smart Agent to find ones that have this specific keyword.
Okay.
That might help you. But I'm happy also to chat with you on the side and see how we can help you, regardless.
Sure. I filled out the form, so thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you,
Great.
Sean.
Thanks, Akash.
Next up is Marwan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm sorry, sir. There you go. Give me your name first.
Yes, thank you for unmuting me, Akash. It was quite good, Marwan.
Marwan,
Marwan.
Yes,
love it, sir.
yes,
Love
yes.
it. Go for it.
Yes, thank you, Shira. Lovely presentation. For me as well, I'm new in this space, new in automation, new in AI, everything. And I have been juggling around with hyper personalization, using just like APIs inside Clay, for example.
Mhm.
And then you get like a lot of even if you fine tune the prompt and you fine tune the prompt, still you don't get consistent result. So when I saw your hyper personalization, I saw like very consistent results, and I was wondering, why is that? Why is
Because I
what's the
worked my
difference?
butt off to get it there. No, honestly, because I have been in this space for so long, and have sent so many cold messages. First of all, I didn't just, make it up. We started off by taking every single message that we've ever sent, hiring data scientists to come in and analyze and pick apart every single part of the message. So for each and every persona, what is the best subject line? What is the best tone? What is the best call to action? And I invested a lot into building out something that was data backed and not just my opinion. Because when it comes to messaging, especially when you're dealing with a lot of clients who are like, we hate it, and others are, we love it. And, it's very subjective. And I wanted to take subjectivity out of it. I wanted the data to lead the way. And then we put the AI layer on top of it. So what's happening with our Smart Reach technology and our Smart Mail is that not only is it data back and then scraping the LinkedIn and hyper personalized, but it also has a learning engine built into it. So this is why the great integration with Smartlead is, because we're able to see from Smartlead back what the reply rates are, what the engagement rate is. And based on that, the system automatically optimizes the messaging for each persona. So if, let's say, you're targeting CEOs in the retail industry with 100 employees, they're most likely to respond. It's very hard to do that on your own and analyze that. So that the system is doing that for you and picking out all the different personas and optimizing the messaging for you and saying, you know what, when we personalize it this way and we talk about one of their recommendations, it really doesn't perform as well as when we talk about their, career journey and do a little ego stroking. So let's focus more on that. And so that's why it's so good, because it's data backed and learning and getting better and better and better all the time.
Oh, good. Thank you. So it's a 100% AI copy, or you also have to include your own copy and you mix it together?
So great question. We actually just added a new feature today that because we had a lot of user feedback that said, listen, we want to have more control. So there's actually two options that you have. You can log in and you could put in your own prompts, okay, your own playbook. And the prompts are, tell me the pain points that you're solving, tell me case studies, okay? And you could plug in your prompts, okay? And then the system will build a unique message for each person at scale, okay? The other option is you could say, you know what, I've been running this email sequence. It's doing really well for me. All I want is for you to hyper personalize it. And you could run your own copy and it'll just inject that hyper personalization. So we give you that control.
Well noted. Awesome. Looking forward to use it. Akash or Shira, I don't know, but can you please share again the link? Because I lost it.
Absolutely. I'll share it on the
Sure.
chat.
Yeah.
I'll share it on the chat for you, sir.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And actually, what I'll do, guys, the messaging part is ready now. Okay. So if you guys want to start just generating messages, you can go, there's a free trial. I'm going to send it right now. It's smartreachai.com. Okay. So you guys can go ahead and sign up for a free trial and start running messaging. You get 50 credits free. So just, start playing around with it. And then the smart data we're launching in a few weeks. So we'll let you guys know when that's ready.
Awesome.
Awesome. I'll be dropping on the chat the link, the form you can fill the waitlist for Smart Data and the Slack community channel for Smartlead. But in the meantime, if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to raise your hand and I'll spotlight you. we're close to the end of the session. So I think this would be our last question or last two questions. If you guys have any, please raise your hands. Do we have anything? Anybody? Please ask some questions while I find the Slack link, please. Someone, Joseph is there. Yeah, Joseph, here you go, sir. Go for it.
Okay, back again. And somebody asked it in the chat, but kind of creating a B2B enterprise playbook, going back to B2B. I mean, I've built and sold a number of companies, but this is hands down the most complex one is B2B enterprise, and not somebody who's selling marketing stuff to marketing people. I'm talking about back-end system software stuff. To me, is just one of the hardest things I think I've ever done. So
Yeah.
any other insight there would be greatly appreciated. Trying to get into that finance group that is very they don't respond, and they're just stuck in old ways. So yep, anything there.
Yeah. A good small tip for you could be to use Sales Navigator. Okay, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And there's a little prompt on LinkedIn Sales Navigator that says active on LinkedIn. Okay, are they active on LinkedIn? If they're active on LinkedIn, the chances that they will communicate with you on LinkedIn is much higher. Okay, so that's a great list for you to build and just start communicating with them on LinkedIn and follow it up with an email or a cold call. So that's just one tip to like filter out people that are, if they're not active, the likelihood that they're going to engage is a little bit lower.
Yeah. Okay. Any other fun ones?
I'm sure I have tons, but on the spot, that's what I could think of now.
Okay. Thank you again.
Awesome.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Joseph. I think Marwan has one more question. Here you go, sir. Love it.
Yes, there. Quick other question indeed. I didn't get it. So there are actually two platforms, Shira, SmartReach and Smart Data. Is that correct?
Actually, it's one platform with different functionalities. Okay, it's called SmartReach. Okay,
Yeah.
and SmartReach has different sections. So one is called Smart Mail, which is connected to Smartlead that creates the hyper-personalized mail. One is called Smart Link. We're connected to HeyReach for LinkedIn messaging. And one is called Smart Data, which allows you to build the list. But it's all under SmartReachAI.
Aha, okay. Now I get it.
So
Okay.
one tool for everything. Yeah.
One tool for everything. Okay, well noted. Thanks.
Got it.
Pleasure.
And Shira, one last quick question is before Devin comes in, is SmartReach and Smart Data GDPR compliant?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
We are, and we're going to have a whole section on our website about that as well.
Perfect. There you go, Devin. You can unmute yourself. Yep.
All right, thank you. I came in late, but I have a kind of industry specific question. So Smartleads has been working really well to connect with companies that are looking to raise capital. So basically we offer advisory services and we help companies raise capital. What I'm finding difficult is getting investors to respond. So I use a combination of PitchBook scraping, and then I use a Leads Rapidly, it's called. It's just Apollo, because I was told that there's better investor information on Apollo. But despite that, I haven't been getting many responses as far as contacting investors. With the companies, pretty good, between a 1 to 5% response rate.
They're
usually
all looking
between
for investment.
5.
Yeah.
But with getting in contact with investors, it's been a little more difficult. So I noted that you did the data on tone, subject line, call to action. So I'll look into that more, but that's been my challenge so far.
Is your challenge on how to communicate to them or how to find them?
I think it's how to get them to respond. I don't know
how to get them to respond.
I haven't done a ton. I mean, I'm working on this. It's a facilities and maintenance roll up, And I've run 2 campaigns around probably 1,500 to 3,000 investors, I guess, that I've reached out to, and I haven't gotten a single response yet. So, it's not a major test, but I'm used to at least getting some responses back on these campaigns. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, are you hyper personalizing every email, or are you sending the same email to everyone?
well, I'm using Syntax Baby, so it creates some variation, but it's not
Yeah.
super personalized.
Yeah, so that's the first thing I would try, is because we have another client that is targeting VCs with a specific technology that they have for VCs. And I think we're booking about 3 to 5 calls for them a week. I can't say that we're booking
Nice.
20 for them. Okay, so it's definitely a harder space, but we're doing it through our Smart Reach and through showing the research that we've done. And they appreciate that. Many
Okay,
of them
great.
say, how did you find this out about me? Like, how did you know I was involved in this fund or whatever it is, So I would go a little deeper with personalization.
Okay, yeah, I mean, even with a pitch book, it provides a little bio. Like
Yeah.
when I create the spreadsheet, and I usually just get it to brass tacks, like first name, last name, email, company name. But yeah, that's interesting to make it a
Yeah,
little more
but the
personalized.
pitch book bio is usually about the fund or the VC. What I would suggest personalizing it is on the actual person that you're talking to and not necessarily about their fund, right? So it could be like, hey, I see that you play jazz. Like I just, I was in a jazz band, whatever it is. Okay. Like
Mm,
you need to find something to connect to them on a personal level.
okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Devin. And last question for the day. Alison, if you can turn on your video, I'll quickly spotlight you. Okay, last 2 questions for Alison is down. So it's only Thiago. Here you go, sir. You're lucky. Let's go.
Opportunity. It's very nice to be here learning from you. First time I come. My question is very quick. It's just to have a criteria of comparison of what we're doing here. Considering all the hyper personalization that you are doing in your tool, what's the average rate of replies and meetings books that you've been getting?
I wish I could answer that question. And any agency here will know that the answer is it depends. Every industry is different, right? Every industry, like I said, we have one client that's targeting, VCs, and we're booking, we're getting about a 6% reply rate and about 3 to 6 calls booked a week. And then we have other clients that are getting a 15% reply rate and we're booking 15 calls a week. So it really varies on the target audience, the pain, and the deeper you go with your data on using these signals, the higher it becomes as well.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good one, Thiago. Alison, if you can turn on your video, I'll quickly spotlight you. You're the last question for our day.
No question.
No question.
Okay.
All right. All right. But we've come to the end of the session. Shira, thank you so much again for making it despite feeling under the weather. And this has been super informative, super helpful. And for all those who asked about the recording, it is being recorded and this will be pushed on Slack and on YouTube Monday, right? And for all those who want to be in the waitlist for Smart Data, fill in those forms, get your free tokens and play around with the platform. But three things. Thank you all for taking the time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Akash. Thank you.
And Shira, you also
to
got a lot
up.
of love for your hat in the comments.
Oh, thank you.
You also got a lot of
Thanks,
love
guys.
for your hat in the comments.
I told Akash I got a new hat. I got a new hat for the webinar, so I appreciate it. Okay, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you all. Absolutely. And we'll see you again next week on the next week's of the session. Until then, ciao. Have a great week, guys. Bye-bye.